So I remember years ago I had this horse. His name was Chucky, and he was my very first horse actually. And you know, he had kind of a reputation for being a little bit vicious, which he kind of was, I guess. But anyway, the long and short was I used to spend all sorts of time with Chucky. I would just sit in the corner of his stall and just watch him eat, you know. And the situation where he was, there was nowhere that I could safely be outside in a paddock with him. Hi, Harrison. So I would just sit outside. Hello, dear. I would just sit outside with him, or I would sit in his stall with him and just watch him eat. And I did that for weeks, maybe even months, to be honest with you. At any rate, we got to be pretty good friends, Chucky and I. So at one point, I had, this is going back, this dates me quite a bit, but somebody had given me a Sony Walkman. I don't know if you remember those things. And so I had one, and I had Chucky in the cross ties at this point because I was riding him at this point. And anyway, so the Sony Walkmans made this kind of clicking and whirring sound when they were doing whatever it was they did. So it made that sound, and Chucky kind of, you know, was startled, and I just held it up to his nose, and he reached forward and he sniffed it, and he went, oh, okay, that's what that was, and that was fine. And then I carried on. Anyway, this other young man came in, and he used to ride Chucky, but he was a good rider, but he was a little bit on the rough side, and Chucky hated him anyway. But so he came in. Didn't he have a Sony Walkman too, right? So he's walking past Chucky, and the thing made exactly the same clicking and whirring sound that my little Sony Walkman had made, except this time Chucky just pinned his ears flat down and just lunged for this young man. I had to kind of grab him. It was kind of scary, really. But I realized at that moment that Chucky was really, he was mean, but he was mean because he felt he had to defend himself. Like, he was mean because he was afraid, really. And the less afraid Chucky got over the years, the less mean he got. Like, Chucky lived to 35. I got him when he was 14 years old, and I bought him thinking he wouldn't live long because we thought he had a lung problem, which turned out to not be true. So I ended up having my first horse, Chucky, till he was 35 years old. But by the end, it was very hard to convince anybody that he was ever a mean horse, because he had come to have enough experience in his life where he trusted people. But that situation with the Walkman really made me realize the value of just spending quiet time with a horse and not asking anything of him. When I sat in Chucky's stall, I never demanded anything of him. I didn't groom him. I didn't pick out his feet. I did nothing. I just hung out and spent time with him. And it served a great purpose with old Chucky, and I think it would with a lot of horses. So that's it for now. I'll see you next time. Remember to thank your horse.